The explosion tore through the settlement's eastern wall at 400 hours. Lyra was already moving before the alarms finished their first wail, muscle memory from a dozen war zones carrying her toward the nursery dome while others were still processing the threat. The Carvax raiders had chosen their moment well, the hour when even the most vigilant guards fought against their circadian rhythms, but they hadn't counted on humanity's peculiar gift for functioning on adrenaline and spite alone. Lyra's boots pounded against the metallic corridor as secondary explosions rippled through the colony. Through the transparent aluminum sections, she could see the insectoid raiders pouring through the breach, their chitinous armor gleaming under the emergency lights. They moved with predatory efficiency toward the population centers, mandibles clicking in their alien battle cant. The nursery dome housed 43 juveniles from 7 different species. The colony on Arcturus 66 was meant to be a symbol, different races living in harmony on the frontier. Lyra had signed up as security because the pay was good, and the posting was supposed to be quiet. She'd laughed at the irony even as she'd filed the paperwork. Nothing was ever quiet where humans went. She reached the nursery 30 seconds before the raiders. The attending caretaker, a Solian named Vorn, stood frozen in the doorway. His large eyes, evolved for his homeworld's twilight, were wide with terror as he stared at the approaching swarm. His people were philosophers, artists, shepherds of knowledge. They had evolved past violence millennia ago, or so they claimed. "Get them to the panic room," Lyra shouted, already raising her rifle. Vorn didn't move. His slender frame trembled, his vestigial claws flexing uselessly. Behind him, Lyra could hear the cubs, the younglings of a dozen species, beginning to cry out in fear. The sound cut through her like a blade. She didn't have time for this. Lyra shoved past Vorn, her free hand grabbing his arm and dragging him inside. "Snap out of it. Those children need you." The physical contact seemed to break through his paralysis. Vorn's eyes focused, and he nodded once before turning to herd the terrified cubs toward the reinforced chamber at the dome's center. Lyra took position at the entrance, her rifle braced against her shoulder. The first Carvax rounded the corner, and she put 3 rounds through its sensory cluster before it could raise its plasma caster. The second one fired wildly, scoring the wall beside her head. Her return volley caught it in the thorax joint, and it collapsed in a heap of twitching limbs. But there were more, always more. She fell back, laying down suppressing fire as Vorn ushered the last of the cubs into the panic room. A young Draken kit stumbled, and Lyra's heart lurched. The cub couldn't have been more than 3 cycles old, barely past hatching. Its scales were still soft, its wings unfurled and ungainly. A Carvax raised its weapon, the targeting laser painting the kit's small form. Lyra moved without thinking. She'd always been fast. Human reflexes were in the upper percentile among galactic species, but this was something beyond training. This was instinct, the same primal drive that had made her ancestors throw themselves at predators to protect their young. She crossed the distance in 3 strides, scooping up the kit and turning her body to shield it. The plasma bolt meant for the cub took her in the back instead, punching through her armor and into her shoulder blade. The impact threw her forward, but she kept her grip on the Dracon, rolling as she fell to absorb the impact. Pain exploded through her nervous system, white-hot and all-consuming. She could smell her own burned flesh, could feel the shrapnel from her shattered armor embedded in her back, but the kit was alive, mewling in fear but unharmed in her arms. "Vorn," she gasped, her vision graying at the edges. "Take him!" The Solon appeared beside her, his hands gentle as he lifted the kit from her failing grip. His eyes met hers, and in them, Lyra saw something she'd never expected to see in a pacifist species: fury. "Go," she managed. "Seal the door." The last thing she saw before darkness claimed her was Vorn disappearing into the panic room, the heavy door sliding shut with a hiss of pressurized seals. Then the pain became everything, and everything became nothing. She awoke to silence and eyes. So many eyes. They surrounded her in concentric circles, dozens of beings from species she recognized and some she didn't. But these weren't the gentle academics and traders of the colony. These were predators, soldiers, warriors, hunters. She could see it in the way they held themselves, the way their gazes tracked her smallest movements with lethal focus. Lyra tried to sit up and immediately regretted it. Pain lanced through her back, though it was distant now, muted by what must have been powerful medication. She was in a medical pod, she realized, the kind reserved for critical cases, tubes and monitors connected to her body at a dozen points. At the center of the assembly stood Vorn, but he looked different now. He wore armor, ceremonial perhaps, but armor nonetheless, etched with symbols she didn't recognize. His posture had changed, no longer the hunched, uncertain stance of a frightened civilian, but something proud and ancient. "She wakes," Vorn announced, his voice carrying a resonance that made her bones vibrate. "The Council of Predators may now bear witness." "Council of what?" Lyra croaked, her throat dry. A massive Thrawn stepped forward, its 4 arms crossed over its chest. "Human Lyra, you have been brought before us to answer a question that has long troubled our kind." "I don't understand." "We are the predator species," Vorn interrupted gently. "Or rather, we were. My people, the Saulians, were apex hunters once. So were the Throne, the Vraxians, the Kalash. Every species represented here evolved from predators. And through generations of civilization, we domesticated ourselves. We chose peace, philosophy, art. We evolved beyond our violent natures. Or so we believed," the Throne continued. "But in doing so, we may have lost something essential." Another being spoke, this one reptilian with scales that shimmered like oil. "We watched you, human. We watched you throw yourself into plasma fire for a child not of your species, not even of your planet. We watched you fight with the fury of our ancestors." "Humans are young," Vorn said, and now she could hear the sadness in his voice. "Your species still carries the instincts we spent millennia trying to suppress. You are predators who have not yet forgotten what it means to hunt, to protect, to sacrifice for the pack." The Throne leaned closer. "Tell us, human, how do you maintain both? How does your species build cities and write poetry while still possessing the will to fight? How do you love peace while remembering war?" Lyra stared at them, at these ancient species who had gathered to question one injured soldier. She thought about her answer carefully, weighing each word. "We don't maintain both," she finally said. "We're still figuring it out. We fight because we have to, not because we want to. We haven't evolved past violence, we've just learned to aim it at things worth fighting for." She paused, meeting Vorn's eyes. "Like cubs. Any cubs." The silence that followed was profound. Then Vorn smiled, and it was a terrible, beautiful thing. The smile of a predator remembering its teeth. "Perhaps," he said softly, "we did not evolve past our nature. Perhaps we merely forgot it." He turned to the council. "The human has shown us the answer. To protect what we love, we must remember what we were." The council murmured agreement, and as they dispersed, Lyra caught glimpses of something awakening in their eyes, something old and sharp and ready. She had saved the cubs. But she wondered if, in doing so, she had awakened something far more dangerous. The galaxy would never be the same.